Game 2 in the books. Real Kyper and Bourne. Right back at you. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Smiling Sammy McKee. Derek Brandale, David Sis, Boom Ba, with you for the next hour on the Leaf edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. And always give us a download when you can't catch us live. And text us at 590-590. It's a little still early in the week, but we'll look at them.
If it's a home run, we might address it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But we have a ton to get into, including a terrific bounce-back game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, taking the Boston Bruins down at the TD Garden 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Who called 3-2?
I remember it was you.
Did you say 3-2?
I did.
Wow.
You know, and 3-2 isn't that far off 2-1, and you just blew me off like an 0-2 fastball.
Who did?
You did yesterday.
I said 4-3.
I know that. I'm saying that it would be nice if the Leafs could win a 2-1 score, and you said not going to happen.
Yes.
That's your exact 3-2 isn't that far off from 2-1.
It's way off. They haven't scored 3 in 8 games.
It was still a
two
good
extra goals.
In
fact,
we do not agree.
2.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see these playoff games, they're tight, Kippy. That's a big difference.
Did the Leafs find a different way to win without needing 5 or 6 is the point?
Yeah. Hey, I will say, the idea you were going for with that they could win with defensive play and structure and all that was correct. They were patient. They didn't give up rushes. They let the game come to them, and they won. They won. And you feel pretty good about things today, don't you? I don't know. I know, Kip, that's not your natural inclination necessarily, but if you're a Leafs fan, I think you got to feel okay. Yeah. I don't think they played great last night. I shouldn't say I don't think they played great. They played great. I don't think their individual great players are playing great yet outside Matthews, and there's more to give, and they're 1-1. That's a good thing.
One of my favorite publications or whatever I see on Twitter is the Beaverton. And I would like to quote them by saying, Leaf fan who was sure they would be swept after game 1, now equally as confident they're going to win the cup.
Well, this is where this town can just shoot itself in the foot.
Yeah.
Because it's either we're winning the cup or blow it up.
Yeah.
There is no in between.
Or should there be?
It is just the ultimate extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel today? How do you feel?
I think it's playing out the way I thought it would play out.
Yep.
I called the Leafs in 7. I think this thing's going to go the distance.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Leafs are in a better position than they have been in the past, and I think last night's win proved it for me, because we saw a lot of things that could have easily thrown them for a loop and bury them 2-0 to come home.
Yeah.
So what I saw last night, which I haven't seen in the past consistently enough, is the resiliency of a team to take something that bad happens to you and not worry about it and not let it bleed into the rest of your night. Because we had ample reasons last night to think bad things could happen to lose this hockey game.
What's number 1 on the list?
Bad penalties, disallowed goals, right? Both of those things could have stopped them in their tracks.
To me,
trailing in the game.
To me, the thing that I'm most surprised it came back from is the goal at the end of the first period. To me, that's something that has sewered them in the past, where they go down in that moment where they had played a great road period in the first period, and they're 7 seconds away from getting out of it tied, and that happens. And that's just so easy to go back into the locker room and sit on it and talk about it. And they come out and they play great in the second. So
and it's a goal that you just have to look in the mirror and go, are you kidding me, guys?
Kidding me.
We can't sort this out. 7 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like watching an episode of the Three Stooges bumping into each other. Like you've never been told what your assignments are on a face-off in your life. It was horrible.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
What stood out for you on that? Because we heard last night, we heard various reasons what happened, including, I think, Kevin Bieksa, who mentioned that Marner should have come down. What did you see?
Well, it's one of the places I did an article with Andrew Brewer last week about like D-zone coverage. And so it's kind of two guys caught between where Benoit's coming up high. He's coming up with his guy and off the draw, that is his guy. And it's okay to come up that high, but he kind of gets tangled with who's the winger there that he's up with.
Is it nice?
Nice. Yeah. They kind of get tangled. So yeah, Marner just kind of has to hold the net front. When you dial back and look at the whole thing and say, that's the area of the ice that we don't need two guys out at the blue line, right? But, that's got to be the area you protect first.
To use one of your favorite sayings, Borny, that was a soup sandwich of a play for
everyone.
Bit of
a soup sandwich.
Wow. Everyone, and give Zach a credit, who makes an unbelievable no-look backhand pass off the half wall into the sweet spot for Pasternak. But it wasn't pretty.
The first thing is center on center. Like Tavares cannot. It's one thing to lose the draw. You cannot have your centerman underneath you. That's the first thing. And Tavares kind of struggled. I was surprised he took the face-off.
Yeah.
I would have gone with Camp at that point.
Yep.
He wasn't at that point. He probably lost 3 or 4 face-offs at that point. I would have gone to Camp, but he went with Tavares.
Yeah. That was a debatable decision, right? Not a great defensive line necessarily.
And I look at the 2D here, and it's McCabe and Benoit.
Yeah.
It's 7 seconds to go. I don't need you that aggressive. On a lost draw, your first instinct has to be in front of the net. Both those guys are so aggressive at the top of the circles.
Yeah.
Who's minding the net?
Let me ask you, is it part of the mindset there that there's so little time left in the period? That's like, if we get aggressive and we make one poke check, the period's over and we're out of it?
No,
which is
to
probably
me,
it's
related to what we talked about yesterday with the Edmondson pinch and the Reeves cover, which we were kind of on other sides of. This is the way they play.
That's right. That's right. We go.
Like
pressure.
Like off a lost draw in the D zone, Benoit has a guy, and he took him out to the blue line. That's just how they do it. So, again, it's a matter of situational stuff where you would tend to be more on the passive side.
Yeah. And for me, Marner's commitment is that side of the ice there. If he's not there and it goes D to D, then Lindholm has a complete lane to come in.
But Kip, you can challenge up.
There's
you
no
can't
time.
Come back.
But there was no time. There's no time to recover off of that.
Yeah.
And it was just a colossal mistake.
Yeah, he's drifting up a little bit farther. It's always angle. What do they say? Angle over depth. Like being in the right lane or whatever. But he's probably just caught too high up there.
Okay, let's go to our first Kippers Clipper of the day with Sheldon Keefe on his overview of Game 2.
Loved our resolve tonight. Like you said, that goal at the end of the period there obviously gives them life and momentum going into the second. And, the game has potential now to be in the back of your mind, to be similar to the one the other night. We didn't let that happen. Like you said, between the Bertuzzi goal coming back, the Arncroke goal, was it in, was it not in? I mean, there's some things kind of piling up that weren't really going our way, but the guys stayed with it. So great effort here on the road tonight, and really good team win.
The Arncroke one was definitely not in.
Not in.
Not in. Leaf fans were delusional on that one. I was getting some texts.
There's some people that thought that was over the line.
Did you think that was in?
Not even remotely close.
Yeah.
Same.
I do want there to be the technology to physically, they can tell if you leave the store with an item when you walk through the whatever. Can we not tell if the puck leaves
I go to the
post?
Rogers Center and get a beer at the Stop and Go, and they know I paid for it somehow.
Yeah, you can't tell if the puck has passed the post. So I want that technology, but no, I don't think that one.
It's very expensive.
That's a $22 beer right there.
Very expensive.
Part of me agrees with you, but part of me is like, the spirit of the game, that's a save. He saved it. It didn't. Wow. You can't see it go over the line. You can't see it. There's no view of it. He saved it. He saved it.
Anyway. Okay, but spirit of the game.
And let's not spend a gazillion dollars on a technology that needs to figure out what side of a hair you're on.
Also, lean on that one. Yarncroc, get that one in there.
Oh, I thought he hit it hard. I liked it.
Anyways.
Yeah.
in the high stick, you think they're never going to score again.
The main issue for the Leafs coming out of game one was discipline penalties. What were your thoughts on the McCabe cross-check early?
On Lauko?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a penalty, I guess. But like in playoffs, I just thought he went down pretty easy to draw a penalty. You shouldn't do that, but you put it in the ref's hands when you do that. Lauko did what he had to do.
And I thought that later in the game, they stayed true to the standard. And when Grzelcyk hammered down Tavares in front of the net, it was
soft.
Borderline too.
That was a soft call.
But they called it too.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, if they're going to do both.
But again, for the Leafs, there's time on clock that you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
That call, if the official wants to set an early standard and let you guys settle in, you're not getting the benefit of the doubt on that early cross-check.
Yeah. I will say McCabe has made a few he's a little excited sometimes. He had more turnovers than I'd like to see, more...
Live with the wire cross, die with the wire cross.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And sometimes the wires stay crossed.
The one thing that I've noticed on occasion here is that left hand, right hand, and McCabe with Benoit, there's sometimes when he gets handcuffed on his backhand and he carves it up a little bit with the Boston forecheck here. Again, that's where it's a little subtle sometimes, but there'd be much cleaner outs if he was a right-handed shot than picking something up on his backhand, trying to get to his forehand, and before you know it, black and gold are all over you, and there's seems to be a turnover.
Much like Brody for a lot of this year, feels like he's playing the whole game handcuffed.
Yeah.
It's like you're just every play that you're trying to make, digging pucks out against these furious forecheckers is on your backhand. That's no fun. So.
For sure. The major stories from last night's game for me are the performance of Austin Matthews, who, goal and 2 assists and, the most hits he's thrown since last year's playoffs and all sorts of good things. And then Samsonov also, gives up the goal at the end you guys talked about and really locks it down after that. You guys have a preference or an opinion where to start?
Let's start with Sheldon Keefe on his top line, clip 3, Derek.
I would say just how they competed, how they worked. Austin, goal and 2 assists, and he's all over the stat sheet tonight in so many regards. He's affecting the game positively for us. But to me, just the way he worked, where he competed, he was hard, physical, winning puck battles all over the ice. And I would say the same thing about Bert and Domi. Really good. It was a huge goal by Max. Great pass, to find Austin in the manner that he did. Like that's big time stuff. The way those guys connected there and the finish was really great. So I love that line. I loved a lot about our game here tonight, all the way through the lineup.
That's a coach reacting to what you talked about, the patience and the solid play.
Yeah.
They waited for the chances and took advantage.
The one thing that, again, was an excellent sign is they give up the power play goal to Geekie, and then right away, hard forecheck.
Yeah.
And their puck pressure was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Boston had Toronto in the first game, and that's where the Leafs had them last night, was that puck pressure. It was Max's forecheck on Lindholm that kept the play alive to come back, where Matthews ended up with the shot that hit the post, the crossbar, and then Max is in a position to bury a rebound. But
not an easy play either. Digging it out of his feet, hammering it home was a good play by Max in front of the net.
But the play was won off of his initial forecheck on Lindholm, and that was pretty consistent throughout the whole night.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It was a real theme of the game, and the fourth line I thought was really effective getting in on the role of F1 in a forecheck is to get the breakout stopped. You don't have to win the puck. Just stop them from that progress. And I thought all night the Leafs were able to get them stopped, and from there they're able to bring in support and turn pucks over and play in the offensive zone. I think it hurt Boston being without Andrew Peeke. They didn't have their third pair, so they weren't able to get the exact roll out of their D-core, and sounds like they've called up Mason Lohrei to step in now with Peeke possibly out for, could be the whole series.
All right, we're going to get into Samsonov and the goaltending for sure, but coming out of yesterday's show, of course, everybody's question in terms of the Boston Bruins are who the Leafs going to see, Allmark or Swayman. I mean, I said I don't care. I mean, I get that you've switched these guys back and forth for the last 27 games, but this is the playoffs, man. You had a top performance out of a goaltender. How do you not go back to him? Of course, Allmark made brilliant saves, but he lost.
One too many, right? The Tavares one's probably
what
the one.
What were your thoughts? It's okay for them?
No,
It's okay for them?
I truly can't believe that he didn't start Swayman. That guy was absolutely floored.
They got mind-effed from the year before.
But, I mean, they talk about how they've been switching back and forth, and I get it. And I think it was a weird decision to not go back to Swayman, who absolutely owns the Leafs. I know like you just said, it's the playoffs. And Allmark was really good in that game. And he made a bunch of great saves. You think about the one that he makes on Yarncroc, the one on Robertson late in the third period.
He did.
That's an unbelievable save.
But if we were sitting here and the Leafs were the Boston Bruins and Sheldon Keefe had made the decision to switch away from Swayman, who owns the Boston Bruins in this alternate universe, we would be killing him for that decision.
Yeah.
And Jim Montgomery put his you-know-what on the table, and he made the call, and they lost, and he deserves criticism for it.
I could see myself defending him if this were a Bruins show.
They're up 2-1. Tavares makes a nice play to save a loose puck. Has to go back for it. Yeah, it was a one-handed puck retrieval.
Curl, yeah.
Turns around. Simmer called it just a little bit of a delay, and then goes short side on Allmark. That's not going in on Swayman. I'm telling you right now.
I texted that exact same thing to multiple friends.
That Swayman is stopping Tavares' shot. Is that the difference in the game? But lights out saves.
Yeah.
But that's the one that can't go in.
Yeah.
For me.
No, hey, I think it's to the Leafs' advantage that they have some of their own ghosts. That to me is last year they went up. What did they go up on Florida? 3-1.
They went up 3-1.
And that was with Allmark all the way. And so they had good games with Allmark, and okay, we're sticking him in. Then okay, he loses, we're going to stick with him. I just think they said, hey, we can't do that again. We have to go back and forth, and that seemed to work to the Leafs' advantage, which is nice.
Do you want to hear Montgomery talk about on it? Clip 3, Montgomery, Derek.
No second guesses. He was terrific. He made multiple big-time saves, and it's the strength of our team. Both of them played really well, right? I mean, we only scored 2 goals.
By the way, boys, Montgomery's still not Paul Maurice. I'm cutting these clips. It's
tougher listen, is it?
Bleeding a stone a little bit here.
It just opens him up, right? Like there is a possibility that these two goalies could be good enough just to lose this series.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and that's one of the first things people are going to say.
I know we're a Leafs show. We're going to talk more about what happened on the Leafs side of things. So if on Wednesday night, Bruins and Leafs play in Toronto and Swayman's good again, and the Bruins win, does he go back to Allmark or does he stick Swayman again?
I think unless it was a shutout, I think he would.
You think he would go back to Allmark again?
He said he thinks Allmark was great, and I think he has a great case to be made there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's what I think he'd do.
So there are some coaches, general managers that are just stubborn sometimes, and they got to prove how smart they are, and the best way you can do that is by sticking to what you believe in.
Buddy, this is the dude.
Right?
There's kind of a general manager out here that, can and we will kind of thing.
We've seen it here on occasion sometimes, but that's the Leafs made a decision. I sat here and I said there's things I didn't like about the Leaf blue line, and I contemplated TJ Brody going in there yesterday, and they said, no, we're going to stick with what we did, and sure enough, it was good enough for the win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they didn't change much from game one. The Leafs, the way they played, the personnel, the lineup, nothing. They just kind of went back to it, and it was good enough to win. I think some of Boston's, he called it a strength of their team, the goaltending, but I think some of their shortcomings were exposed a bit last night in that we've said that the decor hasn't been great. We talked about McCabe kind of fumbling it around. So there's some people on Edmondson. I've heard people get on Lyubushkin for things. Like there's people on the Leafs decor. Boston didn't generate much. They're the 14th best offense in the NHL in the regular season. You cut that down to 16 teams. You have one of the lesser offenses in the league, and it plays into the Leafs'
Montgomery
hands.
talked about that exact thing. Okay. Not the most electrifying clip, but he talked about it. So clip 4, Montgomery, Derek.
I think it's a function of their defending well. It's also a function of we're not playing fast enough. Like we're slow in transition, which is not allowing us to possess pucks, and it's not allowing us to get in on the forecheck well enough.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think comes naturally to Boston's offense is Pasternak.
Oh, God.
That's it.
He's a freak, right?
That's it.
He's one of the few best on earth.
Everyone else, and I include Marchand, has to be a meat and potatoes kind of guy first.
Yeah. Yeah, Zach, he has these flashes where he makes the play, but none of those guys are elite, so it is kind of passed on an island in terms of making plays. And again, this should be an advantage for the Leafs. Their offense isn't great. They're, having these sort of goalie issue already. One of their D-men is down. The Leafs have better to give. Like, I feel they're in a good spot here.
And you mentioned the decor. I mean, if you look on the other side of the Bruins, I mean, this is 2 games in a row now where Matthews has gotten in clean behind their best guy, just beating him straight up.
The Carlo,
right?
he was...
No, it was
McAvoy.
McAvoy both times.
Yeah, that in a million years, that he is the most dangerous guy on the planet. How do you let him get behind you?
I would get barely touched.
I think both of them are not great, but last night it's just a perfectly weighted flip pass. He catches it, lands in the sweet spot. Like, you can't let him get behind you. I get it, but Austin Matthews is pretty good, pretty powerful. He's moving his legs as fast as he can. Like, he's just better.
Just bump him offside.
I think he tried, Kippy.
Trip him.
I think Matthews was just on a different planet last night. So
Allmark wasn't within 3 feet of touching that puck.
No,
that
was
a cathartic moment for Leafs fan who'd been waiting for Matthews to break out, and 2-2 third period for that moment to come. You called it one of the better playoff moments.
I will say that he's breaking in there, and a lot of times you worry about guys and you think like, oh man. There was never 1 second when he got behind and he had the puck on his stick where I didn't think he was scoring. Yeah. I had it in my gut. Makes that cut to the backhand, goes forehand, beautiful. Yeah. So, excellent moment.
Big goal.
All right, let's go to Sheldon Keefe on his number 1 goaltender, Sammy.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, some really huge saves, key times. One started third stands out. One started the second. So, yeah, he's important. I mean, I thought we played another really strong game defensively here tonight. It's never going to be perfect. The team, they do a lot of good things that are going to stress your team defensively. And, he had to be there for us for sure. So, he's a big part of this one here today. Like I said, it's a great team effort. We had some great individual efforts, no doubt, but really good team effort.
Hey, they haven't wavered on him in weeks.
And let me take this opportunity to take the L. I said I would start Woll. Wrong. Samsonov got another chance. He was excellent. And now you're in a much better spot, with a guy who showed that he can handle some down moments and bounce back. And I think, that's a lesson learned for him over this season, showing some mental resilience, which is great. Mm-hmm. Good things, positive things.
And it was hairy at the end of the game. Like they had,
Boston had chances.
Great opportunity to send this game in overtime on the redirect of Zaka.
Did you hear Bonesy?
No.
The call?
No.
I mean, it's one of the funniest things ever, and then they're all digging away. And
Did you clip it for us?
No, he goes, would somebody blow the damn whistle?
Matthews saves that goal, right? He's behind him, and he tucks it back into him. And Samsonov, at the time, I was like, battle. Like, let's see if, but, the commentary from Simmer on that one was right, in that if you move, you may open it up. You may put it in your own net. Like, you just kind of have to trust it's somewhere under you, and guys will push it there. So, you got her done. Got it across the line.
No issues with the high stick at all for you?
Bertuzzi?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Clear high stick.
Yeah.
High stick.
I wonder how the official kind of credited a goal.
Well,
I
my thought at the
It's
time.
very, first of all, it's very rare that,
They overturn.
yeah, that they don't see it first. They're at ice level.
Yeah. My thought initially was that everyone agreed he was coming from a high area, but if the ref just thought the puck, was below the crossbar at the time of contact, it's okay. And initially I did think it was lower than it was. First view, though, was like,
When he scored as a high stick.
Yeah.
Immediate reaction was high stick. It looked high stick anyways. All right, Kippy. Do you want to talk about Marner?
You want to do it after the break or you want to do it now?
Let's do it after the break.
Okay. I was going to go to coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All
About
right.
it. Okay.
Let's go to Sheldon Key first, and then we'll come out.
Clip 5.
I thought, well, it's just a matter of recognizing, that this is the way it's going to be. It's going to be tough. It's two really good teams. We believe in our group. We know we have a good team. We know what we're up against here, right? This is, they're one win away, I think, from finishing second overall in the league. And a few weeks ago, we thought they were going to make a push for the President's Trophy. Like this, it's a really good team that we got a ton of respect for. And they demand a lot of us, and I thought our guys were right there with them here tonight, and we're going to have to, stand in there and keep pushing when we get on home ice.
Any worries at all about the Leafs just finding ways to relax a little bit more on the road than at home?
Yeah.
And all the doubters piling on?
I think they've been doubted more than anybody they can. I don't think there's any more doubt that can go around for this team. I think having won that game and the way it went, and having Matthews sort of unlock the playoff stuff and have him play the way he did last night, coming home, but maybe potentially get Willie back in the lineup. I think they're feeling pretty good coming home.
Just to kind of pick up on what I said earlier, the extremes. This Austin went from, he hasn't scored in so many playoff games, and to the greatest game in the history of the world last night. Yeah. And he was really good, but again, here in Toronto, what we want to do is be extreme, and we were going to build a statue for him last night.
I think there's a better case to be
Best
made.
History in the world game. And it's come on, just calm down, everybody here.
See, there's a better case to be made for that after game one, when he's just as good and he doesn't get any points, and everyone goes, this guy can't score against the Bruins and he never scored.
It's hard. It's hard. It's
very
the playoffs,
hard.
Right?
And you're right. And it's going to come, stats over an 82-game season don't come, he didn't get 1.2 points per game. He got 0, 0, 6, 4, 0, 1. That's how this goes. You're going to have good and bad games as long as you're playing consistently well, which he has been.
I blame certain people in this city, the media. They just go, they love it. They love it, eh?
You are the media.
Best game, but I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I'm
not for Matthews.
He played it. I'm like that with Marner. I'm like that with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? It's 1-1. It's the first round. Just calm yourselves all down with this was the greatest history in the world game by Austin. Come on. Just deep breath at everybody.
I did see people saying that was the best game of his playoff career or whatever. And I think, to have that moment and have it in Boston, I think that's maybe a bit of an overreaction considering he scored 2 goals.
You got caught up in it too, with the, the most memorable.
So one of my
it's going to be,
I said it was one of my favorite moments in the last few years.
But he's
I'm a Leaf fan.
He's 60 minutes from going pointless. You're going to crap all over him because that's what we do.
I did not crap all over him. In fact, I said he was great. He was their best player in their first game. So maybe don't lump me into it.
Which will lead us into a Marner conversation.
Well, let's just have it
right?
now.
No, we're not. We're going to break.
Okay.
We're going to break,
All right.
and then we're going to come back because everybody's piling on this kid right now.
I feel like Kyper's about to call a witness. We're going to have someone come in and take the stand when we come back.
All right. Mitch Marner, what people expect out of him. What's happening to him after the break. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Leaf edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. all in this hour on the Toronto Maple Leafs tying the series against the Boston Bruins, bringing it back to Toronto, tied 1-1 without offensive contributions from Willie Nylander yet.
Yes.
Or Mitch Marner. And there are a lot of people out there calling out Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
And I'll go to you two first. What do you see? What's justified? What isn't, in your opinion? Start with you, JB.
I remember having this take around Columbus series and Montreal series, and that, it's not that I feel like Mitch Marner's played badly in terms of there's no turnovers, that I could be critical of or whatever. It's just there's an absence of greatness, which we know he possesses. Yeah. He hasn't flashed. He hasn't created in the same way that we know that he can. So for me, the responsibility for him so often has been to get people going and make people around him better. And the Leafs have a little bit of that to him now, where they need to put him in a position to be the version of him. They're going to need him. They're not going to win a ton without him.
But prior to last night's Austin Matthews most incredible game in history, they were all kind of lumped into that together.
They were. I didn't agree that they were or should have been, But
last night now, with Austin's 3 points, now there seems to be a real separation that Austin's the hero and Mitch is the GOAT. But prior to that, it was collectively, these guys need to get it done. And now it just seems to be Mitch alone.
I think all through the Florida series, there was great disappointment in all the starters because of their lack of, I think
we're line mates before.
Yeah, and I think it's much more. Yeah, I think that's the thing that I'm kind of thinking of, Bourne, is that now it's much more separate than it's ever been because they're not playing together. And I know they had a few shifts together last night where Keith floated it up and tried to get both of them going. I understand that. But it's much more separate now where Matthews is thriving without Marner and Marner is not thriving without Matthews.
Prior to going into the game last night, Mitch had the most production out of all of them in the playoffs. He had scored more than all of them, right?
Well, I don't know.
He has more career points than Austin, Willie, and Tavares's window that he's been a Toronto Maple Leaf. Okay. This guy's outscored them all, but yet it was like Mitch doesn't show up in the playoffs.
But it's the bigger games.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the narrative of Mitch in the playoffs so much as, do you think he's played well through 2 games? And if not, why? What's going on?
Do you see who's his centerman is now?
He's the engine, right? He's supposed to drive a line.
He can't. He first of all, they don't make plays. John Tavares is terrific in front of the net. Mm-hmm. He can shoot it in the net. He can redirect, but he can't make plays. They don't have the puck. If Mitch doesn't have the puck, what is he supposed to do? Nyes doesn't make plays. Nyes goes in there and he crashes people and he tries to open up lanes. Where is the offense going to come 5-on-5 with these 3 guys? Can you tell me?
From the guy that is an $11 million guy that is leaned on. He doesn't
have the puck.
But
they don't have the puck.
Isn't he supposed to get the puck? Isn't that part of what makes him great? Is that he's digging pucks out? And that's what he does in the regular season, Kyper.
No. When he's got Austin, it's a different look, Sammy. Okay.
What is the desire to divorce him of personal responsibility?
There's no personal responsibility. There's not. But he's chasing the whole night. He doesn't have the puck. He's not big enough or strong enough to go get it, Sammy. He's not.
I know.
He's not. So, I see a guy that has to go out there and kill every penalty, and he doesn't have 5-on-5 minutes like the rest of the guys. He's low on his 5-on-5 even strength. Austin doesn't have to kill penalties. JT doesn't have to kill penalties. But this guy has to go out there and be the best penalty killer for them. I just think now that he's off that line, there is less expectations on 5-on-5. He's going to have to go get his points on the power play. That thing's going to have to get hot. but JT isn't driving offense. He's not making plays. He's a below average passer. He can shoot it in the net. He can redirect. But John is not helping Mitch Marner create offense.
No, I mean, okay, but it's not, it's LeBron's teammates' responsibility to help him create offense. Like, the case forever was Mitch is worth Austin's money. Mitch is Austin. Mitch is Austin. How are they any different? He's more points than him. He's the best. Okay, well then there's got to be some ability for him to take his teammates and say, I run a pretty good line here. And I don't think through 2 games he's done that. I think he can, and I think the team should put him in better spots to find that a little bit, which he hasn't found yet. But right now, it's
hard. It is hard. It is it closes up. There's no question he doesn't have the time and space that he has, much like Austin does against a lot of teams that aren't in the playoffs now. But it is a different look right now. And right now, there's outside of Domi and Austin, it's a tough grind right now. It's a tough grind to create offense outside of that line right now.
Well, and the Leafs finally get 3 goals. They're missing having a third line option, and I think that allows Boston to key in on those lines and say, and also if you are going to try to shut down a Marner, Tavares, Nyes line, there's a guy that you're going to focus on for sure in terms of possession and driving play and where your attention is going to go. So it's just, I think it's an encouraging thing because we know what he is and what he can do. But I thought JT was really good last night. He gave everything he has. Yeah. But I know off air you were talking a little bit some of the things that drive you nuts about him. Yeah, the long distance shots drive me nuts. It's like he forfeits possession taking these in basketball. You call them long twos. So you
tell me how that's helping Mitch.
Well, it's certainly not. No, it's not helping him at all. But it feels like passing the buck to me.
I just think, I know he's just got to be better. It comes down to it. He has to be better. If they have any chance to beat Boston and go in and win a cup, Kyper, he has to be better than he has been in years past.
Listen,
and the first 2 games of this series, it is what it is.
There's no question that Austin or Max cannot do this by themselves. Willie has to come back. Mitch is going to have to find different ways to produce, power play, even strength. No doubt about it.
And he gets hosed last night. He makes a good play on the Bertuzzi goal that gets waved off. He would have had an assist there. He's done some good things. Expectations are just high.
All right.
I mean, shouldn't they be high?
Yes.
Listen, it's not changing. I get it.
I mean, it's not like he's the guy that's just he's got the big payday and he's had some performances in the playoffs that have been good, but a lot of not great, and people measure them against that. It's always going to be there until it happens.
What kills me is if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, you don't look at another team and say they got Marchand and Pasternak and then sit and fight about which one's better or which one's, during their primes. And it's these are the two most important Toronto Maple Leafs.
For sure.
Did we play Sheldon on Marner?
We did not.
No, and he liked it.
I want to hear what he has to say.
He brought this up. I want to give context to this. I cut it into 2 separate things. But when asked about Matthews, he gave the full, the clip that we played about the top line, and then unprompted went into a long diatribe that we're going to play about Marner. So this is a second part of the question about the top line. So if we want to play it there.
I thought this is a night here, where Mitch Marner, I thought he's all over the game too. He's making plays offensively for us at different times. Great defensive plays. He's playing almost every shift against Pasternak and doing a really good job helping us there, penalty kill, all the way through on down to, the Holmberg line gave us great shifts. Camper line was good again. Really liked our effort here tonight.
Yeah, and just to kind of, again, this guy's got a conscience for being third guy high, better than any of those other guys over how many years they've been Leafs. This guy plays with a defense in mind. And if it's taking something away from him offensively, people are going to have to just accept that this time of year, that maybe the offense will not be there if he's not with Austin.
But the thing that kills people, Kyper, is that responsibility plus the production is always there in the regular season. That's the package. That's why you pay him $11 million. You're not paying $11 million for David Kampf here. You want a guy that's going to give you both of those things. That's the reason he's high paid. That's the reason the expectations. That's the reason why people get pissed. So there.
I think that's well said.
All good?
All right. Where do you guys want to go from here?
4th line.
So Ryan Reeves, it'd be really hard. Like if Willie's back, someone asked me today who would come out if Ryan Reeves is the name, and for me, it's not. I thought Ryan Reeves good on the forecheck, physical, turning pucks over. Robertson had chances. I actually really liked Robertson. We're at the point where I don't even know who would come out.
No, it has to be Nick Robertson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said this to you guys a week and a half ago. The Leafs need Ryan Reeves more than they need Nick Robertson in the lineup when Ryan's doing Ryan things.
Yeah.
It's more important. It's a heavier. He can hurt people, man.
Just chatting with Maroon a bit last night.
And that play behind the net where he pancaked two guys and then they drew a penalty on that same shift with his physicality. Like, I've been blown away by how good he's looked.
Considering how the first month went.
It was much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
So let's listen to Sheldon Keefe on the fourth line, clip 6.
Like the line. The line's been really good. They've got a very clear identity. Campadeurs, those guys, they can be really trusted defensively. They give you everything they have. And Revo, for quite some time, as we've talked about, has really done his job wonderfully. I thought he was really good here tonight again, all around the net, offensively, forecheck, really good on the wall in the defensive zone, all the things that you need from your fourth line. And especially now, we've got 2 forwards out of our lineup. That takes a hit on our depth. We need to be able to get shifts from guys. Otherwise, it's just going to be way too much on our top people. So I need to put those guys in situations, and we need them to pull through on, whether it's them or Homer's line. Yarncrock's given them a lot of help defensively, but I think Homer and Robbie have done a really good job too. That's really important right now while we're playing without guys, especially. It's important all the time. But without the guys, that we're playing without right now, or with the guys we're playing without, that's important that we get good shifts from those guys.
Yeah, I thought from top to bottom, the Leafs had better energy, and it goes to Montgomery in our clip with him saying we're too slow.
Yeah, and I like that Yarncroc is a guy they can take Reeves off when they're purely trying to not get scored on and say, we're going to start, I think D-zone starts, he would go out with Yarncroc, Kampf, and Dewar, and that to me feels like, okay, it's Stanley Cup Game 7, you're up 2-1, who's over the boards? David Kampf is your center, Yarncroc's with him, and maybe it's Dewar.
Yeah, I want to give full credit to David Kampf, who I think at points this year we were pretty hard on when he did not have good stretches. But this is clearly the time of year for David Kampf.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is David Kampf's season. He's just
disrupts.
heavy, been playing well through 2 games for me.
What went through you when you watched Kampf and Liljegren have the,
oh my God,
you take it, no, you take it. You take it.
That was a tough moment.
Maybe a couple expletives screamed at my television, probably.
You know what it reminded me of is like when a guy in your team shoots a puck and it's trickling into the net and someone rushes to poke it in and you don't criticize them because it's not in till it's in. That puck's not out till it's out. Like, don't wait for someone else. If you have the chance to do it, just finish the job. Don't say, you play through, buddy. No, go ahead and grab that thing, Camphor, and fire it out of the zone, please.
There was one Liljegren rush up the ice that
Lily's getting filled
stopped dead in his tracks about 6 feet outside the Boston Bruin blue line that went right back the other way. And I'm like, oh boy, that Lily, we don't need a Bobby Orr moment there, buddy, from end to end rush.
Lily's saving grace is just being right-handed.
Oh, man.
He's got the worst underlying stats among all the D so far. Like, he hasn't been on for a whole lot of goodness. Yeah, the worst on the team right now. But he's just...
Really?
Yeah, which he's always near the top. So it's not been pretty. But, yeah, I kind of like Brody, but I get the idea of not messing with that lineup after you get a win last game. The other thing we need to get to, and if we're... I don't think you have any Liljegren takes beyond that.
He terrifies me every time that he has the puck.
Is just Willie. And if we're hearing anything on Willie, I see we have an update clip.
Again,
we have a clip from
there's a lot of extremes here from, this is standard playoff stuff where you just don't get much information to they owe us an explanation.
Yeah. They don't owe us.
I don't think they owe us anything.
I'm telling you, there's people sitting there going, we need to know something
I'm
now.
hearing that too, for sure. This is ridiculous. And the league should do something. It's like, no.
Oh, let's go to Sheldon's update on Willie, and then we'll come out and have a chat.
Optimistic are you that you might have Nylander available for Game 3?
Well, obviously, no update today because, not much happening for us here today except for getting ready to travel. But it's a possibility for us tomorrow, I guess, is all we would say.
God bless Masters. Just going in there.
Gotta ask the question.
What did you think about, okay, if he can't play, then I don't want to see him on the ice. I don't want to see him practicing or looking gingerly. Does that matter to you either?
Yeah, it matters. It's like, it makes no sense. Like, he's got to find out. He's got to test whatever feels off and see how it feels.
Well, the clips that I saw, I'm like, that guy can't play.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
That's what I got out of it.
Well, that's fine, but I'm not mad at him for trying.
Yeah.
I don't love the optics, but I'm a Dumbo fan. So
What does it mean? I don't like the optics. Like,
well, if you're out there twirling around, smiling, laughing with the guys, and you're taking line
the
rushes,
smiling, laughing thing. Like, it has nothing to do with his injury.
I mean, if you're out there taking line rushes and you're upright and skating and you're playing against the Boston Bruins in the first round, I might like you to contribute. I hope you're really hurt. I hope you're really sore. That's all I'm saying.
Hope you're really hurt.
So what does that mean?
Implication?
That he's not really hurt and
No,
he just doesn't want to play this time of year?
I just don't want to.
I don't know. It's just I'm an idiot, and I watch him out there, and I'm like, if he's good enough to do that, like I've said a million times, guys play with
good
broken
enough
legs.
to do what? I just told you. The guy looked like he was like in a
Nice. Got a
Halloween costume.
sore back for sure.
He ain't
Sucks
right.
playing with a sore back. I get it.
He's whatever it is.
They stole one without him, so maybe they can get him back in there, and then you're laughing.
Hey, like Mitch will break out, Willie will break out. They're 1-1 without them
Yeah, and
producing.
And maybe not only is Willie going to be in a back brace, Matthew Nye's maybe in a body cast today.
Could anyone take more big hits in one game than he took last night?
Massive ones.
Absolutely crunched.
I just don't know. Like, and again, he's learning.
Yeah.
He's learning. Like for Sheldon to have him on the ice with 7 seconds on a deep face-off, to me, is just one of those. Okay, you got away with that one. The next one could cost you the series.
Yeah.
Get Camp out there.
I had a friend bring over a boxer puppy to my house a while back, and like the puppy's feet are giant. It's a little dog, giant feet, and you're like, that's going to be a dog at some point. That's nice for me. Like, he's still in puppy form, just out there getting crushed and popping up and crushing guys and having a good time. You can tell it's the shape of a great player to me. I love the guy.
You can tell that he's still got like college habits.
A little bit. He's got some.
Pasternak rocked him.
Carlo munched him up, and so did McAvoy.
There's 3 separate
Well, he's a
Richter
huge
scale
man.
hits.
Yeah.
So
we have Montgomery to close out our Leaf segment on how close this series is.
Yep, sure.
Let's finish on that one.
It's a series we knew all along. I mean, we were so close in the standings all year long, and they're a good hockey team. We're a good hockey team. It's the playoffs. It's, they improved from game 1 to game 2. We didn't improve enough. We need to get better for game 3.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be fun to watch here. This is, for
Good
me,
series.
such a pick 'em right now.
Oh, it's going to be tight the whole way.
Yeah, you're going to get better from the Bruins. That was not a showing they're proud of. Montgomery talking about pace and playing quicker.
But I do like the Leaf chances a lot more. Patrice Bergeron is home watching.
Yes.
Thank God. Hey, what a great career, Patrice. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for all you've done.
By God, is that Patrice's music?
All right. It's a good off day. We were calm.
Got through it.
I got some good conversations in, and we'll continue it in our next hour as we go national. Just to give Leaf fans one quick reminder how quickly things can turn with a potential injury to anyone. Vancouver Canucks will not have Thatcher Demko, their star goaltender, for tonight's game. He's out. How long he's out? We'll discuss on our next hour. Rob Brown next, former NHL forward, covers the Oilers for Ched, and much more on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Do not go away. Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. It's the National Hour here. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. we get ready for another round of action. Stanley Cup playoffs, 4 games on tap tonight. Can't wait to get in on all of them. But thanks for joining us on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Including tonight, a Vancouver Canuck team that would like to go up 2-0 against the National Predators. If that does happen, it will be without their star goaltender, Thatcher Demko, who is out for game 2. And now, guys, questionable for the series. We heard from Rick Tocchet today, Sammy.
We did. We have a clip of him talking about this very definitively. So let's hear the clip.
Well, he skated yesterday. He's not going to play tonight. We're going to evaluate him today on something. It wasn't the old injury, and that's all I really got for you guys. You know, it's a day-to-day thing.
Can you give us a sense of when it may have happened?
Yesterday, I think. I'm not quite sure. That's what it's. I don't have a timeline exactly, so I don't really want to speculate.
You said it happened. It may have happened yesterday in practice.
No, it might have been in the game, but I'm not quite sure because he skated yesterday. I don't have the exact timeline. That's why I don't want to speculate whether it's this time or whatever.
Rick started to give an answer, then realized he should give an unanswered, and was like, it could have been any time.
The Leafs are really happy that this is like Willie Nylander again now, all over again out west. It's like the mystery, these mystery injuries.
I think there's like a zombie thing going around, and like those two are the first zombies.
Rick is one of the best, most well-spoken coaches in the league.
He's like,
but he can't lie a lick.
Hey? So right.
Oh my
He's
God!
so used to only telling the truth, and he's like, but on the other hand, it could have been. I mean, whenever. Could have been getting groceries.
Oh my God!
So Casey DeSmith will be taking the reins there. He's 32 years old, a 12-9-6 record this year, an .896 save percentage. Not a bad backup goalie, as league-wide backups go. But he ain't Thatcher Demko.
I feel so bad for Canucks fans. It's like
sucks, man.
You play such an awesome win. The building's rocking. All this momentum. Let's go.
And then you're contenders. You're cup contenders.
And your starting goal is like, maybe gone for the whole damn series. Great,
but not.
Okay, so
Demko could be back.
Demko was out March,
5 weeks,
and some are suggesting that it is the old injury.
Well, same knee, new injury. I don't know how big a knee is, how many things you can hurt, but I don't know. How many knee things are there?
It's very funny. One of the CLs could be bad.
I don't know.
It could be one of the bones, maybe cartilage. We're not sure.
You don't want to hear about the same knee.
Do goalies need the knee that much?
It seems crucial. And I don't mean to make light of it. We just have no idea. Like, it's not good that your same knee is hurt for such an important position. So hopefully, no big deal.
Do you think the Canucks are good enough without Demko to still outlast the Nashville Predators, who looked very good in Game 1?
To kind of play off of what you just said, I think Casey DeSmith is like a battler. I think he battles.
Yeah.
Right? But I also have him in that Jake Allen, James Reimer, where you could maybe squeeze something out of him for 7 to 10 days, 2 weeks. But these guys have shelf lives that they can only go through a very small window, and then you hope and pray that Demko can come back at some point. And can he get through Nashville? DeSmith, I think he'd be capable of certainly keeping it very close or winning the thing. I think it's there for him.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that, like, there are guys like this who can play and they can win for you. Often, like, with your skaters, you'll call the guy up from the American League and he'll play 3 or 4 good games on the line. You're like, we might have something here. Mm-hmm. And then you play 10 games, you're like, oh.
No, we don't have something here.
Like, you got that, you're amped up with the adrenaline. I think DeSmith is good enough to get them wins and possibly through the series. So you hope that Demko, this is like a week thing and you can get him back later in the series or for round 2, God willing.
Yeah. Tough one.
After watching Game 1, I'm not giving the Predators much of a chance unless Philip Forsberg catches fire here. But I don't see a Nashville team that can push this Vancouver Canuck team, and just from what I saw in Game 1.
You like the Canucks D, right? Which is surprising. You just think that they're like a big group and kind of tough for Nashville to get inside on?
Hughes will be the engine back there.
For sure.
And then if everyone can kind of hold their own, I think that at least he can go toe-to-toe with Yossi.
Yeah. So just quickly, I know we have Rob. We got a text from Keith in Vancouver. Appreciate our Vancouver listeners saying Casey DeSmith is a .940 save percentage in the playoffs. I'm like, I got to look this up. He made one game. He made 51.
He made 940.
He made how many? They had 51 shots against that game, so he played great. And he played one game. So 941 save percentage.
940. Say playoff guy.
There you go.
Okay, let's welcome in Rob Brown, former National Hockey Leaguer, big goal scorer once upon a time, but he goes way back, like my days, way back. I don't think anyone's remembering. Brownie, how are you, pal? Anybody remembering?
My mother, my father.
We remember, Rob. We remember.
I appreciate that. Very few.
The dinosaur.
It's funny nowadays. I do all these hockey schools, and kids will look me up, and all they ever see is Hextall chasing me down the ice or me getting knocked out in Maple Leaf Gardens. No one remembers any of the goals.
Just scored 1,000 times in the league. Yeah.
You know what they remember, Brownie? 5 assists from Connor McDavid last night. And it looked like the Oilers are like they've got something to prove here. I know LA touched the puck at least 4 times because they scored.
They did touch it.
But give us your overall view of the cannon that the star players led by Connor were shot out of last night.
Well, Connor McDavid's taken it to a new level this year. He's got one focus. It's on winning a Stanley Cup. They talked about it before training camp. They had captain skates where all the players came in early. Right through training camp, they talked about cup or bust. Now, they didn't get to the start they wanted, but once they got rolling, this has been the best team in the National Hockey League since November. And it's been led by their stars. It's been led by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Ekholm on the back end, Hyman, all these players. I know that, Kyper, you played on teams, and I know I have in the past, where your star players weren't always your hardest working guys in practice. That's different here in Edmonton. This team is led both on the ice, off the ice, in practice by their star players. And when your best players, the best in the world, are the hardest working ones in practice, it's very hard for any other player to slack off, and there has been no slack. This is a team on a mission right now.
So how has Zach Hyman managed to fit in so seamlessly with McDavid? Like last night, his hat-trick goal, the third one, McDavid basically uses him as banks it in the net off of him. Hyman's like, thank you, hat-trick. How has he been able to have the season he's had? It's not as easy as he's made it look.
It's not. Well, first of all, on that goal, if you watch just before the face-off, they have a team meeting, and they're setting up set plays. Every time there's a face-off in the offensive zone, the Oilers have a set play off it. And on that one, Leon's pointing, okay, here's where everyone wants to go. They win the draw, and that's a tap in for Hyman, who knew it was coming. The reason Zach Hyman's successful there, he's smart. You can't play with great players unless you understand the game, know where you're supposed to be, know when they want the puck, know when you're supposed to back off, pass the puck, shoot. Hyman's very smart. He's incredibly skilled. He's deceptively fast. And I would put him in the same league as Connor and Leon as tough to get the puck off of. If he's got the puck in the corner, you're not getting around him. You're not taking the puck off his stick. But the bottom line, if you're going to play with a great player, you must be able to think the game the same way. And Zach Hyman does.
Anyone that has followed your career, Brownie, and, I got a chance to compete against you once upon a time in a Max tournament in Calgary. You had it. You had it right from the get-go. I'm sure when you first put on skates where you know where to stand, you know where to go, you have a feel for offense, you could finish plays off. You did it at every level that you played it, including in Pittsburgh for the Penguins. But, how does Zach Hyman now develop that from being a 20 or 30 goal scorer to a 50? What are the odds against anybody learning how to be in the right place at the right time if they never really had that knack from the moment they put on skates?
He would have always had the knack. He just never had the opportunity. It's fine knowing where you're supposed to be, but if your center is so-and-so third line center or center that is an 80-point player a year, you're not going to get 50 goals. But if you know where you're supposed to be and now you're playing with Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, now 50's attainable, 60's attainable. He's got a very high hockey IQ, and that sets him apart. There, you could put anyone with Connor McDavid and they can have success. They can have a career year, but their career year might be 22 goals or 25 goals. For Zach Hyman and a high hockey IQ and the talent that he has, well, he could score 60 next year. He's going to get the opportunities. And this year, Connor McDavid decided he was going to pass all the time. So when he's passing all the time, you want to be his winger. And I tell you, the most popular spot in North America, if you were a hockey player a couple of weeks ago, was on Connor's wings when he was trying to get his 100th assist. He was passing all night long. No, he was not going to shoot the puck at all. So Hyman is he's in the right spot at the right time. The Oilers, this might be one of the best free agent signings in NHL history. They knew they were getting character. They knew they were getting work ethic, someone that had great attention to detail. I'm not sure they ever would have imagined they would have a 50-goal scorer as well. And I don't think this was an aberration or a one-off. I think this is the expectation now for Zach Hyman over the next couple of years of this contract.
Yeah, I mean, he is a complete player. So obviously great game from him. And we're going to get to all the other Oiler pieces, including Leon Draisaitl. But I do want to ask you about the Kings a little bit. And their game last night, Kip joked about, we know they touched it 4 times, but is there any glimmers of what it could look like for them? Like when the Oilers are going like that, it just feels like, the ice is tilted pretty severely the Kings' way.
Well, the problem for the Kings, when they play a very passive game against the Oilers, they're taking away any advantage they have of trying to beat the Oilers. When the Oilers built a 4-0 lead, all of a sudden the Kings started playing freer. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we're down. Let's become a little more aggressive on the forecheck, throw pucks to the net, and they had a little more success. They were so tentative early in the game. They were so worried about the Oilers getting an odd man break, they didn't forecheck. The Oilers are top heavy. Their top 9 forwards are as good as any in the National Hockey League. So if you're allowing the Oilers to break out and come through the neutral zone unimpeded and then dump it in, well, you're just asking for trouble. If you're going to beat the Oilers, you have to create turnovers in the offensive zone. The Oilers got good defensemen, but they're prone to make mistakes. Every defenseman is. And if you force them in the offensive zone, all great offensive players prefer to play in the offensive end. You don't want to play in your own zone. So if LA, any team that can beat the Oilers would have to be a team that can forecheck well. We saw that last year with Vegas. We saw that a couple of years ago with Colorado. You have to forecheck the Oilers. And if you don't, the Oilers will break you down. And we saw that last night.
We're talking to Rob Brown, former National Hockey Leaguer, now current analyst for the Edmonton Oilers for CHED. We've seen Leon Draisaitl shoot a lot of pucks off of a 4-foot goal line. And I'm just, whether you're LA or anyone else, why can't teams take this away from him? Have you ever seen anything like it?
Well, no. The problem is, if you're a defender, one of the penalty killers, you're thinking, okay, Leon is standing on the goal line. Okay, right now, he's not in a scoring position because no other player in the National Hockey League is going to shoot from there, especially a one-timer. So we're like, okay, I'm going to take the 4 biggest threats away. Draisaitl's not a threat. The problem for all these teams is Draisaitl's a threat. We've seen him shoot with his feet below the goal line and one-time it where his stick was about 2 inches ahead of the red line and he still scored. He is the best in the National Hockey League from shooting from bad angles. I dare to say that 50% of the players in the NHL can't take a one-timer. And most of them can't take a one-timer with heat on it. Draisaitl is accurate from anywhere on the ice as anyone that's ever played the game. The LA Kings played with fire last night by taking silly penalties. You do not do that against the Oilers. They will make you pay. And the Leon Draisaitl play, if the defender moves down and gets in the passing lane or the shooting lane of Leon, that just allows a wide open space for Connor McDavid to skate in and score from his vantage point. So it's hard to defend. You just have to hope Leon misses the net. But in big moments, Leon rarely ever does that.
Brownie, you played with the Penguins in the early 90s. Mario used to hit it from down there on the other side, didn't he?
Mario could hit from anywhere. I remember it was funny. We used to put practice, and we had a goalie named Frank Pietrangelo. He was our backup goalie at the time. And at the end of every practice, Mario used to put 10 pucks on the dot, and he would take 10 wrist shots, and he would score 8 out of 10 every time. And I used to make fun of Frankie. I'm like, seriously, you suck up. Just letting Mario score. And he's like, oh, my God, you don't understand. I think he's going top glove. He goes down low blocker. I think he's going 5-hole. He goes over my shoulder. He just disguises his shot. So, yes, Mario was incredible. But Mario, a lot of the times, they were wrist shots. Or he would take his time and he'd just pick a corner. Leon is just bombs. It's one-timers that he just doesn't miss the net. Yeah. And it's just like the defenseman and the goaltender figured, okay, there's no way we're safe right now. And neither one of them could get over in time to block that. So the Oilers power play, when it's clicking, there's no one, you can't defend it. You can't stop them from coming in the zone because Connor's going to carry it in. And then and no, Kyper used to penalty kill. Okay, I'm looking over here. Okay, that's where Stamkos is standing. He's going to be there the whole time. Or Kucherov or Pettersson or Matthews. The Oilers power play, all 5 players move around. And all 5 players are scoring threats at all time. All 5 players are passing threats at all time. So you're thinking, okay, I got McDavid. He's up in the top left. Next thing you look, he's down beside the post. You're like, okay, how did he get there? It's impossible to defend. And last night it was a 7-4 game. They won by 3 and they scored 3 power play goals.
And then Bush hits one 100 miles per hour. Just forget.
Oh yeah. Well, then and there's a fear factor too. You got a guy that shoots 100 miles an hour and you're going out to block it. If I would start every power play with Bouchard taking a slap shot, A, it's going to hurt someone. B, it's going to break someone's stick. Or 3, it gets through and it goes in the net. So you got one of 3 good things to happen.
Yeah. I roomed with Frankie when I played for the Hartford Whalers. So he often reminded me, he's a pretty good goalie in his Pittsburgh days too, bailing out Tom Barrasso when he wasn't around.
He's known for the save in Pittsburgh.
The
big
save,
glove save against the New Jersey Devils. Yep.
Jersey Devils, of course. Outside of that, Vancouver tonight, the news of Demko out tonight. And, there's a fear that he may be out the rest of the series anyways. What does that do to the mindset of the Vancouver Canucks, in your opinion?
I think they have belief in their system and they have belief in Talkett. I think, and then they've got a goaltender that played well for them when he was thrown in there. I think what it does, it gives a glimmer of hope to other teams playing against the Canucks, though. I think Nashville right now is going to be a little more pumped up. I think if the Canucks get through this series and it's Edmonton or LA, I think there's a little more confidence for those teams. Demko's all world. He's most nights is their best player. You take away the best player from any team, they're not going to be as good. So this is I like the Canucks. I love what they've done this year. I think Talkett's a fantastic coach. They've got a good team, but you just took their all-star goaltender out of the lineup. That will certainly make a difference. I think they can still get past Nashville, but if you're going up against teams like Edmonton or Colorado or Dallas or Vegas or whoever, without your best player, that just makes it a little bit tougher for the Vancouver Canucks.
It does. And then, for the Canucks and for the Oilers looking ahead, and that the players wouldn't do that, but we certainly can. Looking at potential teams like the Jets, like Hellebuck gives up 6, Gorgiev gives up 7. Ottinger didn't look great for a stretch of it last night. Goaltending is such a funny part of playoffs, but is there a team amongst the West there that feels like the biggest threat to the Oilers, outside of some random nights of bad goaltending in the early parts of the series?
Well, I think the Oilers got very fortunate with the way the 2 brackets broke up. To me, there's the top 5 teams in the Western Conference are Edmonton, Dallas, Winnipeg, Vegas, and Colorado. Edmonton is with the 6th, 7th, and 8th best team, I believe. Yep. So I think they've got the better side. The Oilers played Dallas late in the season, and Dallas laid a beating on them. Dallas is a good team. They're deep. The Winnipeg Jets are a deep team with very, very good goaltending most nights. Colorado, I think Colorado's in trouble. I don't know if Georgie the 5th is going to be the answer for them in net. So I'm not sure about that. But the Vegas Golden Knights is the team that I think if they get completely healthy, and I know that Stone is back and Pietrangelo is back and Hill's back as a backup, the deeper they go in the playoffs, the better they're going to be, because those players are going to get up to speed. I know that Stone looked okay in game 1, and so did Peter Angelo, but they're going to get stronger. I mean, you missed 2 months. I don't care what your injury is. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you're a better hockey player than you were in your first game. So to me, if the Vegas Golden Knights can get through Dallas, I think they would pose the biggest obstacle for the Oilers. Having said that, if the Dallas Stars win that series, I do believe that they've got a very good team as well. They are deep through their entire lineup, and Ottinger can steal games by himself as well.
Hey, we're seeing a lot of Cookie Monsters have their way here. Are the coaches going to just suck the life right out of the goal scorers here moving forward?
I hope not. I seriously, I love the Colorado Winnipeg first series. I love the 7-4 games. I played in an era. I played in a game when Ron Hextall chased me down the ice. I scored, I believe, the 9th goal of the game that turned out to be the game winner. And I think it made it 9-2 at the time. And I think we ended up winning 10-8 with an empty netter. So I'm from an era where, you just kept on scoring. You just never
what was it, the Pumpernickel? Was it this one right here?
It was funny. I watched years later, I watched the video and I'm like, I didn't do anything. I don't know why he was chasing me. Then someone showed me I scored the 8th and 9th goals. And they showed me score the 8th goal, and oh my God, I celebrated all the way to center ice. I think I moon danced. And then I'm like, okay, I understand now why he wanted to kill me.
That's the one that got him. Brownie, great stuff, man. As always, really appreciate your time. We're going to get you back throughout the playoffs here. Great analysis on the Edmonton Oilers. Thanks, pal.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Brownie.
That was Rob Brown. Could he score?
Oh, my God.
He skated like me, like a Zamboni, but he could score.
Go look at his Elite Prospects page, you at home, if you haven't. He had 173 and 212 points in the WHL back-to-back years.
Is that good?
Is that okay? And then he plays for the Penguins, 49 and 66 for 115 points one year, which is just an insane.
Wonder what that year would have given him on a UFA contract today.
I don't think he'd like to think about that because it's, I don't know, 12 million.
Oh, trust me, all us old guys do that.
I know, my dad.
What would our best year be worth today?
Yeah.
212.
By the way, Georgie the Fifth is a hilarious Gorgiev nickname because it is spelled Georgie with a V at the end. So I'm calling him Georgie the Fifth from now on, just so you guys know.
Sorry, I'm just ogling that 212
still on that.
If he has another night like game 1, the Nate Dogg is going to have a conniption.
The Nate Dogg's going to play goal.
Yeah, the Nate Dogg might go in.
He's going to put himself in.
Yeah.
Anything to win for the team.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, Gorgiev, Georgie the Fifth, you got to get on that kale pasta, please. You got to get on that chickpea pasta. We need we need to cut it out. Get it going.
Listen, he better play better tonight or else he's Georgie the Fifth in the depth department next year. Okay?
That's pretty
good.
Listen,
UC Antonin is hurt, and they've got the other fella up, so it'll be the other fella real quick tonight, I think.
Yeah. All right. Game time, boys?
Game time, baby.
It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Obviously, 4 games on the go tonight. And the underdogs in the games are the Washington Capitals, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Nashville Predators. Of those 4 underdogs, most likely to win, Jets?
Jets are underdogs.
They are. They're underdogs on home ice, plus 100. I mean, they're even money. They're, underdogs compared to the Colorado Avalanche, who are minus 120.
Yeah, I think it's the Jets out of that group. I think Tampa's interesting. I don't think Florida's going to run them out of the building with a sweep. So I can see Tampa getting one tonight.
To me, that is excellent value on the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are going to be. You're going to get the A effort from them tonight, plus 150.
Can't go down to.
Veteran team. That's a big one to me.
So in '94, when we swept the New York Islanders, Steve Thomas tells me after the series, I've never played in a series where my team never touched the puck.
Just chasing you around, eh?
And I don't know. I think the Washington Capitals, might be in a position here where I'm not sure the Rangers are going to let them touch much of the puck in this series.
Pretty comprehensive victory in game 1, I'd say. So
I would agree.
OV, not a shot on goal.
And they had 4 power plays.
Well, No, I'll save my snarky LV comments.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter to him.
Save it.
This doesn't matter to him. These goals don't count.
Oh, my
Buddy, you're talking
God.
about a decorated Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, he's got it. There's one thing left for him to do. And it's, the playoff goals don't
He's
count against the
won.
total. He's won it. So.
He's won. He's won a
Playoffs
cup.
should count.
Absolutely. So the current Stanley Cup favorites updated after the first little bit of it. Carolina, obviously, I guess they're the closest with the 2 wins. They're plus 450. Florida Panthers plus 600. Oilers plus 500. Rangers plus 600 as well. And then it goes down a little bit. Canucks plus 900. Jets, Stars. And the Toronto Maple Leafs are still 14-1 after a comprehensive victory over the Boston Bruins last night.
Are they the longest odds
No.
outside of Washington and Islanders?
They are not.
Okay.
Tampa, no belief, 40-1 for Tampa. The LA Kings are 50-1. Nashville's 55-1. The New York Islanders are a lot to 1, and the Washington Capitals are even more to 1. So,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't recommend betting on those two teams.
No,
Don't
don't do that.
All right. That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus. Ontario only. Please play it responsibly.
All right, let's take a quick break here, and we'll come back. Still plenty to chew on, including want to get your thoughts on Mark Stone's. Clearly, he's going to need some time to get back into things.
Oh, boy.
But, yeah, a bit of an upset there. Dallas Stars lose at home.
Yeah, they're a whole new team, this Vegas team somehow.
All right, that and the Islander meltdown for JB to discuss. That more when Real Kyper and Bourne return. What was it, 12 or 14 seconds that lost Nashville Predators lead in Vancouver in Game 1?
I don't even know if it was that many, was it? It was very quick.
Whatever it was,
one of the
it
two.
was longer than the 9 seconds last night where the Islanders had Carolina right where they wanted.
Mm-hmm. They're up 3-0. Sure were.
So this was, according to my trusted producer, it was like crack research.
Oh, boy.
The first time Patrick Waugh has ever blown a 3-goal lead, whether he was in net or behind a bench.
Sportsnet stats. So
regular season
Why don't you
included?
just give yourself credit? I just built you up.
Yeah, but you think I'm going to dig up that up? Like, I got to give my boy Stevie Fallon full props for that one.
That's wild.
There's no way you can dig that up when you're golfing, right?
I didn't golf today. I was locked in.
Oh,
Pulling
okay.
all these clips for you, buddy.
Well, let's listen to Patty Waugh on what led to the blown lead.
And for some reason, I mean, we started losing those one-on-one battles, and we didn't do a very good job along the wall to get those puck out, and they took advantage of it. I mean, on our regroup that was the big difference, in my opinion, from this, first half of the game to the second half. And their D start pinching and be heavy on those pucks, and we didn't respond to that.
Yeah, where it was so noticeable for me is that Sebastian Aho scores, and then there's the opening faceoff, and Islanders are on their heels.
Yeah.
Like there's almost a 50-50 loose puck, and the D just backed up.
It's like a prevent defense, right? Like they're so used to being like, okay, we have the lead. We just can't let them complete the Hail Mary, back off. And, you can't give Carolina any extra ice. They dominated the league in possession and, all those.
And then
They are a tidal wave team.
They
when
are.
when that
They
speed
could be a
gets
real hurricane.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have probably used hurricane.
Who's the D that got
The
eaten up?
surge of a storm.
Dobson? Was it Dobson that got eaten up by Martin Hook?
I love Martin.
Martin Hook.
I was on, I've been doing Leafs Talk post-game with these boneheads.
Yeah.
Which has been,
So you were up comfortably.
Well, yeah, it started. It had been 3-1 when we came on air. It ended, and they were like, "Yeah, Canes lose." I was like, "What?" So our Canes win.
So
What?
so let me get this straight. You and JD do Leaf Talk after every Leaf game.
We do. If you'd like to listen to that, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
You two
Sportsnet
aren't.
Plus.
You're not good enough. Yeah, I gotta go and get JB.
So we got to bring in the big guns.
Yeah,
no, you're not
exactly.
going to do it. So
Kim's smart enough to ask for money. Yeah, no, it's it was a disappointing one for the Isles because, seeing they're up 3-0, you start to think they could do this. They're the type of playoff team that you get some goaltending and they got some veteran guys and they could shut it down. You can't. They're not beating Carolina 4-5. So that ship sailed with a 3-goal blown lead. Hate to say it, Isles fans.
Yeah, it's just crazy how much a game 2 can swing the field of the series. I know we're in the national hour, but
monster.
Think about at the end of that game, Bruins tie it, goes to overtime, you lose an OT like the show we're having today. It's just
it's a postmortem on the season.
It is. Like, it actually is. It's crazy how quickly playoff hockey and the narrative and how the series feels changes.
Best of seven's a long series. It's so short.
Yeah. Particularly when you feel one team's better, like Carolina. Like once they go up, it's like, if the Isles had a 2-0 lead, we'd be talking different, but that ain't the way it is.
All right, let's jump into Vegas, Dallas.
Mr. Game 1.
Can you believe this?
Mark Stone makes his presence
90 seconds in? Is it 90 seconds into the game?
Authority.
Just a sick tip from the high slot, pulls it through Ottinger's armpit.
Would you like to hear Pete DeBoer on his thoughts on the Golden Knights?
Yes, very much.
I mean, I think as advertised, good team. Obviously the additions make a difference for them for sure. I thought, if you're going to knock off the Stanley Cup champions, you're going to have to, bring your A game every night. And, I just thought tonight we did some decent things. We did some things well, but we were chasing the game the whole night from the first shot of the game on. So tough to play from behind against that team.
Okay, there was a little bit of a message to his goaltender, I think I heard there.
Did you?
Interesting. I heard him taking a total
right from
shot.
The start. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I think I didn't watch this game from start to finish, but certainly, where I stand with Jake Ottinger having to be the difference maker here. So, from the goals that I picked up on the highlights, like tracking pucks and still maybe an issue that he had earlier in the year.
Yeah. God, Dallas must have been watching those last couple games of the regular season just going, oh, come on. Really? You're going to give us Vegas at the end? Yeah. The other thing worth noting is Dallas gets it back to 4-3.
Did you see the goal? The one that went through Logan Thomas was like the Mason Marchment wrist shot from a step inside the blue line, clean.
Not great.
Really bad.
But so they get back in the game, and they have an opportunity in the dying seconds to get a shot, and diving to get a piece of his skate and block it. Mark Stone blocks the final shot to end the game.
Really good at both ends of the ice.
And what Hurdle have? I mean, I don't know what his numbers were, but
God, he looks big and strong, doesn't he? Did you see him go to the net?
He's huge.
He's huge.
He is huge.
He looked even bigger in gold, I think.
No, that Vegas team is no joke. And if Ottinger's not great, that could be a hell of a series.
Yeah.
We also did get a clip from Mark Stone. His thoughts on playing Game 1.
Yep. Mark, obviously, you probably heard the boos all night. First couple of touches, they booed you, and then to quiet them with that goal, I guess, one, how did you feel about that moment? Two, how did you feel about your game overall?
Yeah, it was a big goal for us. Get off to a good start on the road. That's key. Power play clutched up for us tonight. Got 2 big goals for us. Get off to that good start, get the chemistry there. Obviously I haven't played a lot of hockey in the last 2 months. Been on the ice, but the games are different. I'm not just jumping into a preseason game in September. I'm playing a playoff game in April, so you got to be ready. But I don't know. I guess they don't like me.
Did he say they didn't let me play hockey the last 2 months?
He didn't say that directly. He said he's been on the ice.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. I had a friend text me today to be like, way too many smart people are saying that the Knights, that this is okay because it's within the rules or whatever. And it's like, his point was, if you have to lie about the status of someone like Mark Stone, who presumably could have played maybe a week before the end of the season, then it's not within the rules. Then you have to be dishonest to get away with it. So you can understand Dallas fans being like, we think this is a little suspect. it's a legitimate place to boo. So good for you, Dallas Stars fans.
Oh, and they let him have it with Leah Hextall's
couldn't even hear him
ESPN.
post game. Yeah.
I actually, every time I watch a Dallas game, they seem to have a really good fan base there. Like that crowd really into it, and they got the towels and I don't know what they do but they do they do like a thing after every goal. Like they really do seem to be an engaged fan base. They've had a lot of good teams there.
Should put a team in Houston.
I'd like to go to a game there. I'd like to go to Dallas.
Don't you want to maybe just do that interview like somewhere?
What an odd place to have a loud public interview to the opposing fans with the bad guy.
There's a tunnel like right there.
Right.
I get it that like it adds to the storyline and the
that's
the
actually
playoff.
a great point. It's good for
what
you're selling. Black hat.
But I will say this, like if I'm George McPhee or McCrimmon, I'm like, I don't want my player subjected to that.
No.
Like,
get him out of there.
By the way, Mark Stone is impervious to any feeling of like shrinking. He was like loving it.
But I mean,
all it takes is some goofball to throw something. The lights are kind of low, It's like, I'm not having my player out there.
Especially because he spent
hammered.
Especially because he spent 6 to 7 more minutes sitting at the podium to do it again. So it's like you couldn't have just. I don't know. I agree with you, actually, Kyper. But he loved it.
I like that he did it. I like that the league is cool with it. But yeah, if you're on his PR department, you're like, maybe that's not okay.
No. That's my star player. I'm not having.
God, he's such a stud, boys.
Huh?
I love Mark Stone, man.
I just wish I had an ounce of that.
Do you remember what he got traded for from Ottawa?
I can look it up.
Brandstrom.
Also, by the way,
was it Brandstrom?
Brandstrom. I'm sure there's a first involved.
Was he the key in that one?
It may have been the pick. That was
one
the
of the
key.
picks.
Brandstrom was the big.
One
name.
of the picks must have turned out to be a good one.
Do you know the answer to this?
I don't.
Okay.
I
There's
don't
no
remember.
Chance it did.
I'm just wondering.
Traded from the Ottawa Senators with Tobias Lindberg to the Golden Knights for Oscar Lindberg, Eric Brandstrom, and a second-round pick that turned into Igor Sokolov.
Oh, my God. That's a lawyer, isn't it?
It's the Sokolov commercials.
He got traded for a lawyer?
He did.
Yeah. I mean, Sokolov.
Eugene needed some legal representation.
Sokolov lit up the AHL this year, boys, so he was great.
All right.
That was a horrific trade.
Awful.
My poor Sens fans.
Awful.
Wow.
By the way, Thomas Hertl, 6'3", 215.
Yeah, he's a lot of guy.
Big boy.
Yeah.
And he looked huge last night.
All right.
All right. Did you say that you expect Tampa and Florida to even their series tonight?
John Cooper, the master tactician. I really kind of wish at times we were either a Tampa or a Florida podcast so we could cover this series.
So no one would listen?
Listen.
That's a great point.
So for our 28 listeners, that'd be great.
We would get the two coaches, the dream coaches, though. We should really just have this show and clip their coaches a lot.
Maurice got to ask about the power play of Tampa, and that's something that we always talk about and what makes it great. And he gave just an excellent Paul Maurice answer on their power play. So you want to listen to it?
Let's do it.
Clip one.
Yeah, I don't do the penalty kill. Don't take many would be my advice, because you're not. I mean, they're just so dynamic. It's a function of incredible players, but they've played together for so long. They're just reacting not just on what they see, they're reacting on their history of things they've done, they've had success with. So they have so many options every time each one touches the puck. I think they're the best team at fakes, at the shot fake, where you bite on the shot and it goes back into the seam or it goes back over across the top. They're so good at it. So it's going to be shot lanes and goaltending, and then be as aggressive as we possibly can in the times that we can be aggressive. They're the first one. There really wasn't a place to be aggressive early because they had kind of complete control of it, and we sat in there. And it's not what we want to do, but that's what you got to do when they got control of that puck.
Okay, they aren't the best at it. Kucherov is the best at it.
Yeah. I
just thought that's just like he basically gave the takes that we've talked about on this show for 3 years watching the Lightning, and I loved how he talked about it, so put her in there.
I also, nowadays, I think to be a great coach, you have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Have other people in your staff, you defer to them. So he says, I don't do the penalty kill. And I believe him. You have to trust that other people, whoever the coach is that does, can do it. And there's too many things to look at. So,
but you know that, like,
You're on the hook.
You're making $4 million,
Yeah.
and the other guy's making like Sammy money.
Yeah.
Right.
So
like,
yes, when it's
when
failing, you step in and go,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
we need this. I'm at the end of the day, I'm on the hook for this. It's
Yes.
not working, but as long
Yeah,
as it's
yeah.
working, you just go, I don't know, he does it.
But
I do other things.
I would seriously consider just taking away Kucherov and just go 4-on-3 somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, buddy, but there's the Braden Point. And
Listen, I know.
There's a guy that hits the best one-timers of all time, maybe.
If you're going to beat me on a power play, you got to beat me on the other side.
There was so when I was with Sheldon's staff in the American League, Scott Gomez was down there, and Scott Gomez played the half wall for, I think it was Hartford at the time, and one of the best passers of his era, but he doesn't shoot it. So we literally just would back off him and let him have it. Let him have it out there on the half wall. The problem with Kucherov is he will cook it by your goaltender's ear too. So you're right. Like, you do kind of have to be all over the guy because he can beat you either way. If you back off, they'll shoot it in. If you're aggressive, he'll pass it around you. I mean, that's how you get 150 points in a season. 144.
Jets looking to take a 2-0 series lead on home ice tonight. Is this on the hands of Makar and the Nate Dogg, Rantanen? I mean, those are your three guys here.
So Jets have their hands full because they're going to get the absolute Nolan Ryan fastball from Colorado tonight. I do want to give a shout out to their fans. What a showing in game one outside the building and everything.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Okay.
Before we get into the game tonight.
That shot's incredible, of their alley.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, pretty good outside. There's 1,000 people outside of Scotiabank Arena jumping around. Whether it's not good enough because they're not wearing white. Like they're jumping around pretty good too.
By percentage of population, we're less impressed.
I think, you talk about pressure on players coming home. There's pressure. I think with all these other Canadian markets in the playoffs, absolutely electric crowds. With Vancouver, their crowd looked amazing. Of course, Winnipeg with their crazy crowd. Edmonton buzzing last night. Ton of pressure on the old Scotiabank Arena suits coming home here.
Great point.
There really is.
Yeah.
Like, you need that place to be rocking, or else the jokes, which, are low-hanging fruit at the best of time, where people get
earned.
Yeah, but it's like, the fans. Like, yeah, great. When's the next? Is it playing the parade joke next? Like, give me a break. But big pressure on the fans to be loud in game 3. Yeah. Big pressure after watching the rest of the Canadian markets. Anyways, go back to the game.
Don't go down 2-0.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Need an early one. Need an early one.
Need an early one.
Need an early one.
That'd be really good.
All right,
so,
let's
go ahead.
We'll get to Rick Bonus. Sammy,
Yep.
did you clip
I did.
Rick?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's have a listen to the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets.
You don't want, like, sometimes you win games and you walk away, wow, that's great, we won. But you also have to be very honest about how you played. And our guys have been very honest about that. So we're thrilled that we won. We needed to get that win, and we got it. We'll take it any way we can get it, right? But again, at the same time, you have to be honest with your assessment that that's the best game Colorado has played against us in the 4 games we played them, by far. You give them a lot of credit. They played an outstanding game. They worked and they were on top of us. They didn't give us a lot of time. And so give Colorado a lot of credit. And that being said, we know we can play better against what they threw at us.
Didn't think I'd be saying this, but Jonathan Drouin not in the lineup. It's kind of maybe throwing a bit of a curveball here because he was so good for so long. With that line.
Yeah, he became an important part of that team. He's one of those guys that can play with elite talent, and he seemed to find his confidence again, and certainly makes a difference for a team whose depth you question at times.
I mean, he had 56 points this year. He played he had a really good bounce back season, and clearly the Moosehead connection with McKinnon, they played together in junior. Like, there's a familiarity there, so he got the best out of him. But you're right. Missed him big time.
I would take, what's interesting is I would take the Avalanche's bottom 6 versus most teams. Like, I like Miles Wood is big and fast, and Colton, I like the way he's Trenton and Duhaime. I like a lot of their guys. Kiviranta, genuinely like them. Winnipeg is so well suited to handle them, though.
Yeah.
Like, just the depth that the Jets have up front, it's just Winnipeg may be a really bad matchup for this Avalanche team.
Well, it's not like they didn't go out and trade for pieces that are supposed to help them win the Stanley Cup. Like some of those names you just mentioned, they
brought in.
They paid a big price
for sure. But the Jets have Nemesnikov on the fourth line. He gets one look and blasts one home in game one. He's an excellent player for me as a fourth line guy.
So even that again, I don't think people pay attention enough what a good stick does. So Nemesnikov scores that second goal, I think, in the game. Go watch Iafalo's stick that goes from a deep pass up the wall to a good stick where the puck bounces right on his stick and he hammers it home. Yeah. Like, to me, the overemphasis sometimes is body and running it, and I get it. I get that whole theory that, a hit today means you cash it in game 6 or 7. Yeah. I get all of that. But if you don't have good sticks, taking away good lanes, forcing shots on the outside, but a good stick is just as much as important as running a guy 3 feet into the stands.
Well, it's, to take it to the extreme, that's what Zdeno Chara was at 6'8", where it's just in your area where you're trying to stick handle, good stick on the puck. And, they have a bunch of guys, Lowry and Appleton, the way they get after the puck. Even Scheifele, I like the way he turns pucks over. So they just have a lot of guys, to your point, Kip, that
has anybody made a better trade than Cheveldayoff made for Dubois?
Hey, unbelievable. Dubois scores last night, the worst goal anyone's ever scored. It's a non-goal.
Laugher.
I'm not, even if he was excelling in Los Angeles and being the guy they thought they were getting.
Velarde is so good.
So good.
Iafalo, so good. They
really
got Kumpari in that trade and a second-round pick.
This is where I don't understand it. Like, I know you're LA and you'd want the guy today, but you're also 12 months away from getting him for free. He was UFA at the end of the following season.
Did they just feel like they couldn't get him?
I don't know. But you gave up some good pieces here.
Well, to your point, if you could have waited and then add him to the guys we just listed off. And what's rare too about this whole trade is Chevy's hand was forced. You don't see many GMs have success in those situations.
Like hit a home run when it's an 0-2 count and you hit a home run on a slider.
You often get back, Uyghur and Huberdeau for Tkachuk.
Who made that trade?
Correct. But, it's not like that was a terrible trade by any stretch. Just, you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
So there it is. So tonight, big games around the NHL.
Can't wait for Jets Avalanche.
Jets
I'm all in
the
on this
feature
series.
attraction tonight.
All in.
Tampa, Florida at 7:30.
Give me a score.
For Jets, Avs. Get them tonight.
You do,
4-3.
I'm going to take a lower scoring game, 3-2 Jets again. I say again because they win again.
I'll take 4-3 Avs. I think it's 1-1 here.
It does seem unlikely that this series is short.
I don't see it as a short series, but see what happens. Yeah. Florida, Tampa, guys, 1-1 or 2-0?
I'm taking Tampa tonight.
I think maybe 2-0.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think maybe 2-0.
Canucks in Nashville, 1-1?
Nope.
2-0?
Canucks get another one.
Okay.
Not so sure.
I'll go 1-1 because I picked Nash as an upset, but I don't believe it for 1 second.
Canadian homer today, right here.
Love it.
All right, our thanks for Rob Brown contributing to the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Outside of that, 4 fantastic games. Pick your game, and let's all get together this time tomorrow and revisit them on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Have a great night, everybody.